Hi, I'm Mark Garner, independent estate agent in Telford and Walsall, and today I'm going to be giving you some tips and tricks on how to prepare your property before getting it on the market to help you achieve the best possible price for it. Right, let's get to it. Tip number one is curb appeal. So there's nothing worse when you're going out and looking at properties of pulling up to the property, you get out the car, you go to walk towards the house, and the garden's a mess. There's rubbish in there, there's dead weeds, the paving is all dirty, the door is faded, there's all scratch marks up there from your dog, the windows are dirty. First impressions last, and you've only got about 30 seconds to make that first impression. So you really do want to make sure that when anybody's walking up to the front of your property, they're like, wow, this looks really nice. So spend the time and effort and make sure all the windows are clean, repaint your door and the frame, fill in any holes or marks that the dogs cause by scratching the frame away, tidy up that garden, cut the grass, make sure any plants, bushes, trees, they're all trimmed, it looks nice, and anybody that is coming to that front door is going to feel like, yes, this is somewhere that I could live. Tip number two is declutter. So we're all guilty of it. Houses get lived in, especially if you've got kids. You're going to have stuff piled up all over the place, in hallways, on the stairs, on landings, in bedrooms. The cupboards are going to be full. Your living room, your dining room is probably going to have stuff in there that doesn't really need to be there. So my advice is to just go through each room individually and ask yourself, do I really need that item in this room? Can I box it up and get it out and put it into storage? Now, if you've got a garage, you can always box stuff up and put it into the garage. And then obviously when you show people the garage, you can say, look, we're preparing for the move. We're just putting everything in here at the moment. Ideally though, if you can, if you've got a friend, neighbour or family member that's got a garage that isn't really using that space necessarily for cars and stuff like that, ask them if you can put the stuff in there. So at least then when you're showing somebody your own garage, you can show it as a garage to put the car in, or for your tools, your lawnmower, gardening equipment, whatever. But ultimately, if you can afford to do this, it's well worth your time looking at an independent storage company and finding out how much it would cost to put those items into storage to keep them out of the way. But yeah, you want to make people walking into your property feel like there is plenty of space and that they can envision their own furniture, their own stuff being in that particular room, so that they can get a feel for what it would be like for them to be living at the property. Tip number three is freshen the place up. We've all been into those houses where the colour scheme and the decoration is very personal to the individual owner. It's not something that everybody else is going to enjoy and like. So to accommodate for everybody that's coming into your property, get rid of those red, green, blue, yellow walls. Make the place as neutral as possible. And if it's already neutral, but it's just looking a bit tired, because I know a lot of people move into new builds and they just leave the magnolia walls up for 5 or 6 years before they then move out, and it can look really tired. Just give the place a fresh lick of paint, give it that new feel. Buyers want to come into a property and feel like, do you know what, I could put my stuff in here, I could be quite happy for a year or so before I even need to think about what decoration needs to be done. You want those buyers to come in and just feel like they could move in tomorrow, not think, oh, I'm going to have to come in here, I'm not going to be able to move my stuff in straight away because I'm going to end up spending 2 weeks redecorating the place. So just neutralise the place and give it a fresh lick of paint. Tip number four is depersonalise your property. So there's a lot of people out there that quite rightly, they've got photo frames on sideboards, units, tables, on the walls, the stairs, the landing of all the family members over the years, from when they were kids to what they are now, the graduation photos, etc, etc. It's a very good practice to just deneutralise the place. One, it adds to the clutter. But two, when people are walking around, they don't necessarily want to be distracted by looking at your extended family. They want to be walking around and you want them to be envisioning what the place would look like for them once they move in. Tip number 5 is finish any outstanding DIY jobs that you've got left to do. I'm guilty of it as well. We all have the best intentions. We've got a list of jobs that we know we need to get done, but we keep putting them off, saying, oh, we'll do them next weekend, and then next weekend never comes. When it comes to selling the property, buyers want to walk into that property and they don't want to have to do any work. A lot of them anyway. There are people out there that are prepared to do work, but the majority of people just want to move straight in. If you've got door handles hanging off, doors hanging off, kitchen doors hanging off, drawers that are not working correctly, windows that don't open properly, cracked panes of glass, all these are going to make a potential buyer ask themselves, why hasn't this person spent money on the property? Has the property really been that well maintained over the years? And are they then going to purchase it to move in and find out that they need to replace a boiler, or the roof needs replacing, or the major repairs to a chimney? This is not ideal for potential buyers. Make sure that all these jobs are done. It's not going to cost you a lot, I should imagine, and it's not going to cost you that much really in time. So make sure the place is in the best possible shape. Tip number 6 is tidy up the gardens. Now, I know we've touched on curb appeal and the front garden, but it's really important to make sure that the rear garden or the back garden is to the best of its ability as well. This is where a lot of people are thinking, in the summertime, this is where I'm going to be spending some of my time enjoying the great British weather that we all know that we get every now and then. So any patios, make sure they've been jet washed down. The grass is cut, it's de-weeded. You've got nice pots and flowers around. Any hedges are trimmed. Trees look like they've been maintained. And make sure any seating areas, table and dining chairs, they're all clean, wiped down, and stage the property if it is summertime as well. I don't expect this to be done in the winter. There's not much you can do to keep the garden looking that great in the winter time, apart from just clearing up any leaves or rubbish that happen to blow into it. But it is a major area that people are going to be looking at when considering a property, so make sure you do keep on top of it. Tip number 7 is get rid of large bulky items. Now, I know I've touched on this a little bit with the decluttering, but if you have got items like a running machine, exercise bike, you've got, I don't know, say a pool table that's in quite a small enclosed space, just stuff like that. Anything that is going to make a room feel a lot smaller than what it actually is, get rid of it, put it into storage, get it in a neighbour's or family member's garage, make that space feel as big as possible. Tip number 8 is have a good clean of the property. Now, I know this goes without saying, and a lot of people are very conscious of having people coming into the property, so they always keep on top of the cleaning. But yeah, when people are walking around, they're going to be looking, is the dust on the shelves, is the dust on the skirting boards, do the tiled floors or linos look dirty, do they look like they've been cleaned recently, the carpets, have they been hoovered? Just make sure that you go around the property and ask yourself, if I was walking around a property and I spotted this, would I be happy with it? Would it make me think that this property's not been looked after? So just make sure you keep on top of that cleaning, and the more that you do it on a regular basis, and I'll probably sound like my wife here, the easier it's going to be to maintain it. Tip number 9 is give each room its intended purpose. So you may be living in a 3 or 4 bed house, and one of those rooms could be used as a gym. Now, it would be better from a buyer's point of view to walk into that room and see it as a bedroom, have a bed in there, have a wardrobe, have a bedside table, just so they can see the layout and the size of the room with those items in. If you've got a bench press in there, a running machine, or a bike, an exercise bike, then it's going to be harder for them to see that room as a bedroom, and they're only going to see it as a gym. So make sure that you're giving any room in the property its full intended purpose. Tip number 10 is maximize the light. So a lot of people, they do go for these energy saving bulbs now, and I've been into a few properties recently where the energy saving bulbs, they have quite a really low wattage, and you turn the light on and it doesn't really do much to the room, even when it's dark. So my advice would be, and I'm all for energy saving light bulbs, but it can be beneficial to have a brighter bulb in the rooms when it comes to selling your property, just so you're giving that appearance of light, especially if you're doing viewings in the evening time. If it's in the daytime, making sure all your windows are clean inside and out, all the blinds are open, the curtains are fully drawn back. Bring as much light into that property as possible, because there's nothing worse than walking into a room that feels dark and dingy, and I can tell you now, it can put even me off when looking at a property. So make sure you do try and draw in as much light to those rooms as possible. Tip number 11 is spruce up the kitchen and the bathrooms. Those are two rooms that most buyers are looking at, because a lot of the time they don't want to be replacing kitchens, they don't want to be replacing bathrooms. So if you've got mouldy grouting, or the beading around the top of the bath has gone mouldy, make sure you deal with it. There's chemicals out there now and products that you can buy that will help you to get rid of that. You could always pull it up and put some fresh caulking and beading down. You could also dig the grout out and re-grout all the tiles. The kitchen, has the oven been cleaned? Has the hob been cleaned? Is the extractor fan and the filters clean? Are inside the cupboards clean? Is the worktop clean? Is all the grouting and the caulking around the top of the worktop looking okay? What's the stainless steel sink like? Is it stained with tea, coffee stains? All these can have an adverse effect when it comes to a buyer looking at those two areas in your property. So make sure you spend some time and effort bringing those two areas back up to standard. And tip number 12 is set a budget for doing these works. So ask yourself, have you got a budget? And if so, how much is that budget? And then look at the type of works that you can get done. If there's two areas I would definitely be spending the budget on, it's cleaning up kitchen and bathrooms and neutralising the property. Like I said, with the storage side of things, you can always ask family members and friends to use their garages so that you're not having to pay for separate storage. But get that budget, see how much things are going to cost you, and then speak to your agent. Say to the agent, look, this is the condition of my property now. If I'm looking to get all this and this done, it's going to cost me a couple of grand. Is that going to add more than a couple of grand's worth of value to the property when it comes to showing somebody round and getting people to put offers in on the property? And if the agent turns around and says to you, yes, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I strongly agree that you should get these items done and you should look to move stuff out of the property and put it into storage, that £2,000 spent will possibly add 5 to 10 grand on the offers that we get, because people are going to be walking there, they're going to fall in love with the property, and you're going to get one or two people, possibly even more, bidding against each other. And that's all you need, is two people that are prepared to bid against each other, and you can make double that £2,000 investment, or whatever it is your budget is. But speak to your agent and get their advice on that. So that's it from me. I'm Mark Garner, independent estate agent in Telford and Walsall. If you've got any questions or you want any advice when it comes to getting your property ready to be put on the market for sale, then reach out to me on any of the social media channels that you found this video on. My contact number is 077 89 647 226. My email is mark.garner@exp.uk.com. And that's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed these tips, and I'll see you on the next video.